Okay, hey everyone, and we're back for the last part of the series, Marketing Your Social Impact Business. And we're talking about telling stories and the place that stories have in your marketing strategy. I like to call them impact stories because that's truly what they are, right? Um, so we talked about the award being your first line of defense. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch that particular video. The second part of the series was digital and social media marketing. And the third part was clients and community partners. And today, like I said, the last part is telling um, impact stories. So my name is Tracy D. Allen. I'm the owner of TVA Consulting. TVA Consulting Group. I keep forgetting I changed my business name. So I'm the owner of TVA Consulting Group. I work with primarily with social enterprises and social entrepreneurs, helping them to design, build, and fund their social ventures, as well as maximizing their reach and impact in their communities.
And I am Daphne Pettis from On Good Ground Strategic Solutions. I almost forgot where I was from. I am a social, I'm a social strategist and nonprofit consultant, helping nonprofit founders with gaining clarity and writing their vision to make it plain so others can help them walk out their mission.
All right, I am Ty Boone. I'm owner of Ty Boone Consulting. I'm a nonprofit success strategist and a program development strategist. I help organizations move from startup and struggle to sustainability and success. Again, without the traditional headache and hassle. But guess what? A good story? A good story is an Excedrin migraine, right? Take away the headache, right? Because a lot of times you'll see funders and sponsors wanting to know, like, what is it? What do you do? And how do we know you did it? The number one question you'll see in every grant application I've ever seen is what difference did you make? And don't say it in one language or the other. What they're trying to get at is what's the impact and how can you tell us that you're making a difference? What did that difference look like? They're looking for a story. They're looking for something juicy, y'all. The Chick-fil-A grant, and I know it's due like May something every year. This one question that stands out to me as we talk about this is that they ask, tell us a story, give us an example of how you made a difference, right? What they're looking for is what's the juicy stuff we want to know, because y'all are out here saying that you're making an impact. You out here talking about you serve folks. Are you serving them just to be serving them? Or is something changing about what you're doing? And I talk a lot about different levels of outcomes and how you approach funders at different levels depending on your stage of development, where you are in your organization's growth, and how that also helps to determine what you're even asking them for. Like, how much money are we going to need for this? And a lot of times you'll find that when you're changing somebody's circumstance and you're changing their environment and you're changing their situation, that you can approach a funder for more money, right? Because those things take a lot of money to do. And that's that story behind it. If somebody comes up and says, you know what, they changed the whole trajectory of my life. I'm a whole new person. Since I came through that program, I'm a different person. You made a difference. I was homeless. Now I'm home and I've sustained this home for 5 years. Or I didn't have a job. Now I know how to get. The thing that you have done is so impactful that it not only affects that person in the story, but it affects everybody around that person. And it also changes the way that people see your organization. It's the story. What's the juicy thing? What's that thing? What's the thing that you did? Who did it, Daphne? what's the thing? What is that thing? And when you have this, everybody loves a good story.
Yes.
Everybody. It doesn't have to necessarily be a rags to riches thing. It just has to be something that changes
the trajectory of someone's life.
Yeah.
Telling the story actually gives the funder and a supporter the eye into your organization. So they know your mission, they know your vision, but they have to be able to see it. It's like watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see the trailer, so you're intrigued. You know, that's your mission statement. So now you want to go watch the movie, and you know, nothing more than turning on a movie and nothing shows up. You know, you're like, okay, what happened? Blank screen. You know,
I have the best examples and scenarios ever.
I know. I was like, I like that.
right? You know,
it's like this is like watching a movie. I'm like, that's right.
You know,
that's perfect. I know.
You know, it's like. You know, it's like watching a movie. So, you know, you have to be able to give them the movie, you know, you giving them the trailer, you know, so now it's time to tell a story. You know, they want an introduction, they want a climax, and then they want an ending. And you have to give all that in your story. You know, you have to sell, you know, your organization, and your stories will do that.
This is where I think you wish you paid attention in English class.
Mm-hmm. The different
definitely
right. Creating a storyboard, right? Creating a storyboard, understanding the dynamics of how a story flows. You know, you have your rising action, you have your conflict, you have your resolution, your plot at the top, the very top up here.
Right.
You know, understanding that, and I was an English teacher, so I get it. All right. But this is where you really, really wish that you paid attention. Hopefully you were good in English, and or you can learn it, right? It's not a hard skill to learn. There are some people who are better at storytelling than others, but it's a learnable skill. I can do, I think, just as equal as Daphne with the movie trailer analogy. Don't you hate it though when you see that movie trailer and you're like, oh my God, this movie's gonna be fire, right?
And it's not.
Hype yourself up and you go to the movie and all the action was in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to tell those types of stories either. I think that's worse than turning it on and
now you get the bad reviews, you don't make any money.
Right? So you don't want to tell the story that it's so overinflated, because a lot of people do that. They embellish, they overinflate the plot of the story, and then the rest of it is just a letdown. So okay, you hyped this up with the backstory of this person, and then they came to your organization and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They just don't match, right? So be very, very cognizant with your storytelling abilities. And if you don't know how to tell really good stories, you may need to hire a communications director if you're in the way of being able to hire one. If not, you need to take a class on telling impact stories or telling really good stories, because I like to say the stories are the heartstrings to your purse string. Okay? If you become a really good storyteller, man, people will be opening their wallets for you. Think about the fact that you go to a movie, like Daphne said, and you get so invested in those characters that you end up bawling in the movie theater. Like, really? What are you crying for? They're actors, right? But the story was told in such an impactful way that you can't but feel that emotional connection to the movie. You come out there, you cursing, you arguing and carrying on over a movie, a whole movie. That is good storytelling, and that's where you want to get your organization to. You want to get your organization to the point where you can tell those impact stories, and you can get people to just write you a nice check.
And you got to be careful not to know the difference between storytelling and telling stories.
Yes.
Telling stories, making stuff up.
Yep.
Making stuff up because somebody's gonna fact check you.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's gonna come to your organization and Tracy, you made me think about that when you're saying, when I get to your organization, this is sometimes it's because you told a story, you didn't story tell. You told a lie. You're like, okay, you really ain't doing what you say you're doing. You're telling stories out here, and so when I drive up and I come to your organization and I don't see any of this good stuff that you're talking about, I know that you told a story. So that's gonna convince me not to give you any money or to take the money that I gave you back.
Yeah, and actually that was one of the things that I was going to touch on, because one of the things that you don't want, because if you tell the story right, or if you engage the funder, they will stop by. They will come and visit. It's not unheard of for funders to come visit before they fund you. So you definitely want to be what it is that you told, right? You don't want them to come and you told them that you service 500 people in this big elaborate place, and you're serving somebody out of the garage. You definitely you don't want to do that. So as Ty said, tell the stories with them.
Right. I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Daphne, where you said that, and we were talking, and you mentioned that people are getting grants, and then they don't know what the grant is about, because grant writers, we're good storytellers.
Yeah.
Right. We can tell stories.
Creative writers. That's what.
Right.
Yes.
Creative writing. What is it? 5.1, not 101. 5.1. Right. We're really good storytellers, and we can spin anything to make it sound better than it is. And there's a little bit of leeway in grant writing and that telling stories part, right? Well, you don't want to tell stories to the point that the whole story is this is not Harry Potter, right? So you don't want to tell those types of stories. You want to keep it as believable as possible, but that's what's happening. You're getting grant writers that are going out here and doing some creative writing for your organization, and then you cannot live up to the hype. Be very cognizant about that. And this is where a lot of people come to us, right? And then say, oh, well, I've been burned. So how
right? You can implement it.
Burnt. You were burnt because you put your trust in someone who could not give you something that was honest. They sold you a story, you bought that story, and then they gave you a story.
Right.
Yeah.
In other words, you know how you see those pictures with the filters on them? Take the filters off. Don't be
real organization, right?
Don't be giving selfies with filters on them. And we all know, you've seen the filter pictures, and then you see the regular picture, and you're like, okay, that is nothing what I thought.
Unrecognizable to the point.
Exactly. That is unrecognizable. You don't want your organization, the stories that you tell, to be like that. So, as Ty was saying, you can be creative in what you say, but don't be lying.
Right. So. All right. And I think that concludes our last session for marketing your mission impact business. Again, go back and look at the last 3 videos we did. I'm just going to run through them really quickly. Your board being the first line of defense, digital and social media strategies, clients and community partners. And then this is the last one, which is telling those stories. So go make sure you go back and look at the whole series. You can find the videos on my YouTube page, which is Change Agents TV. You can also find them on Ty's YouTube page, which is Capacity Central. So make sure you go on over there and give her a like. Make sure you give me a like too, but go on over there and give her a like as well. She's trying to build. Huh?
I said like us, like us.
Yeah, she's trying to build her YouTube platform. So make sure you go on over and watch the videos and engage and give us some feedback. So, all right. Until next time. Bye, everyone.